Imagine this. You're sitting at a dinner table, knowing that one person in the room is about to betray you. Not tomorrow, not next week, tonight. You know exactly who it is. You know exactly what they're about to do. You even know the price they'll sell you for. 30 pieces of silver. Now let me ask you something. If you were Jesus, what would you do? Would you confront him? Would you expose him in front of everyone? Would you ask him to leave? Instead, Jesus did something no one expected. He got down on his knees, picked up a towel, and washed Judas's feet. Why? The answer may completely change how you see the love of Jesus. Let's step into the upper room. Jesus and his disciples are sharing the Passover meal. The atmosphere is tense. The cross is only hours away. Jesus knows exactly what's coming. John tells us something incredible. Jesus knew that the Father had put all things under his power. He knew he had come from God, and he knew he was returning to God. Think about that. Jesus wasn't insecure. He didn't wash feet because he was weak. He washed feet because he knew exactly who he was. Real humility doesn't come from having little power. It comes from choosing to serve even when you have all power. Then Jesus did something shocking. He removed his outer garment, wrapped a towel around his waist, poured water into a basin, and began washing his disciples' feet. In those days, feet were filthy. People walked dusty roads in sandals. Foot washing was considered the lowest servant's job, yet the King of Kings chose the position of the lowest servant. Then came Judas. Imagine the silence. Jesus looked into the eyes of the man who would soon betray him, the man who had already agreed to hand him over, the man who would greet him with a kiss, only to lead soldiers to arrest him. Jesus knew all of this, yet he still washed his feet. He didn't skip Judas. He didn't rush through it. He didn't wash everyone else's feet and leave Judas sitting there. He treated Judas with the same love, the same dignity, the same compassion as every other disciple. Why? Because that's who Jesus is. His love isn't based on whether people deserve it. If it were, none of us would receive it. Romans tells us, while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. Not after we changed, not after we proved ourselves, while we were still sinners. Judas reminds us of something uncomfortable. Jesus can love someone completely, and that person can still choose to reject him. Love does not force itself. Jesus washed Judas's feet, but he didn't force Judas's heart. God's love invites. It doesn't coerce. Some people wonder, if Jesus knew Judas would betray him, why choose him at all? Because Jesus wasn't surprised by the betrayal. It was part of God's redemptive plan. That doesn't mean Judas had no responsibility. Judas made real choices. But even humanity's darkest act, the betrayal of the Son of God, was woven into God's plan to save the world. Think about this. The very hands that would soon be nailed to a cross were the same hands that gently washed Judas's dirty feet. What kind of love is that? A love that serves, even when it knows it will be wounded. A love that gives, even when it will be rejected. A love that keeps reaching, even when it knows the answer will be no. Then Jesus said something his disciples would never forget. I have set you an example that you should do as I have done for you. Notice what he didn't say. He didn't say, love only the people who love you. He didn't say, serve only those who deserve it. He washed everyone's feet, even Judas's. That's one of the hardest teachings in the Christian life. It's easy to love people who are kind. It's much harder to love people who hurt us. Yet Jesus calls us to love our enemies, to pray for those who persecute us, to forgive as we have been forgiven. Does that mean we ignore wisdom? No. Jesus wasn't pretending Judas wasn't going to betray him. He knew exactly what Judas would do. Love doesn't mean pretending evil doesn't exist. It means refusing to let evil determine your character. Judas's betrayal didn't change who Jesus was. Jesus remained loving, even when Judas stopped being faithful. That's the challenge for every believer. Will other people's actions determine who we become, or will we let Jesus shape our response? Maybe someone has betrayed your trust. Maybe you've been lied to, abandoned, rejected. Those wounds are real. Jesus understands them. He experienced betrayal from someone he loved deeply. That's why Hebrews says we have a high priest who understands our weaknesses. He knows what betrayal feels like, and yet he chose love. Not because Judas deserved it, but because love was Jesus' nature. Here's the amazing part. When we read this story, most of us immediately think, I don't want to be Judas. But if we're honest, there have been moments when we've all betrayed Jesus. Every time we've chosen sin over obedience. Every time we've ignored his voice. Every time we've walked our own way. Yet what did Jesus do for us? He went to the cross. He didn't wait until we became faithful. He loved us first. The basin, the towel, the cross. They're all telling the same story. A king who came not to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many. So why did Jesus wash Judas's feet too? Because his love is not based on the worthiness of the one being loved. It's based on the goodness of the one who loves. And that same love is being offered to you today. If this message helped you see Jesus in a new way, subscribe for more Bible stories, hidden truths, and powerful questions from Scripture that reveal the heart of God.